content. It was an unbelievable...
Free Talk Live.
That's right. It is Free Talk Live, and you are free to call in and talk live here on the airwaves. It's Mark with you.
And Chris.
That's right. Mark back from being banned. I'm just too outrageous for Japan.
Yeah.
What was the terminology? Denied entry. I was denied entry to the Tokyo Narita Airport, I think is what it's called, something like that. That'll give people some idea. But Ian and I, the main co-host Ian, Chris, he and I headed out a couple days ago. I guess it's been about 48 hours, a little more than 48 hours since then. And we headed out to go to Japan to hang out at the Bitcoin.com studios for a week, do some shows, and basically, see what's going on. Visit Tokyo, visit Roger Ver, visit the Bitcoin.com studios, more or less. And he really didn't think much of it. Just heading on over, got our tickets, paid an outrageous sum to travel from Boston Airport to this Tokyo Airport. And it took forever. We ended up ours was actually quite short. We went to Minneapolis, and there was a straight flight from Minneapolis over to
What was the overall
Tokyo.
Time that it took you?
I would guess.
Was it a direct flight, or was it?
I think it was like 13 or 14 hours in the air.
Wow. Was that direct, or was it?
No, it was Boston to Minneapolis and then Minneapolis to Tokyo.
Okay. And coming back, it was additional, or no?
Yes. Coming back. Well, let me get to that.
Okay.
So, we go over there. It wasn't so bad. Delta took very good care of us on this international flight. Usually on a domestic flight, you don't get anything on, any airline that you're on. But they were ready for us there in Minneapolis. They had little slippers and blankets and pillows and eye covers and headphones and everything we could have needed. We were in pretty good shape. I mean, it's not like we was spacious or anything. We were back in the back with steerage with the rats, and everybody who didn't want to pay anything more than $2,000 or whatever it was to go to Tokyo. And we headed on over, and it was nice for what it was. I can't say anything bad about Delta this entire flight. They took good care of me the whole way, and they should. They're mainline airline. So we show up, it's a nice airport. Walking through, there's this tremendous line that is being handled very expeditiously by a bunch of bureaucrats, Japanese bureaucrats, right? And they're doing a fine job. We're going through the line, and there's lots and lots of people in this room. I don't want to over-exaggerate, but I'll bet there's 1,000 people in this line. And we, get our little time up, and the bureaucrat, takes a little look, gives me a red check, and says, I got to go to a different spot. So they, call somebody over. They take me to a waiting room that looks pretty scary. I'm like, oh, yeah, this is the room you go to before you go to jail. And I had some reservation about my criminal background being somehow caught, but I'm like, they're never going to find a 30-year-old conviction. I'm 48, and this stuff happened when I was 17. I was a juvenile at the time. It's 30 years ago. It's a foreign country. What are the chances that they've got this information?
Oh, that's interesting. So here's a question: Were you charged as a juvenile?
No, I was charged as a youthful offender. So,
is there a difference?
Yeah, youthful offender is a classification of adult.
Okay,
but
so it gets reported in some sort of system. Then is that
presumably,
because usually people think of
my
under 18, it would be sealed after it was
right. That was my understanding, that it was going to be sealed and not available for people to see, but. At this point, but Japan certainly proved me wrong on this. They had some kind of information. I don't know where they got it or how they got it.
Interesting.
But there is a computer system out there that will report that you have a charge, even if that charge came from under 18. But I was not a juvenile. The courts determined I was an adult and a youthful offender as a result. But it's kind of strange if you can. Like they say, your juvenile can be charged as an adult because they committed an adult crime, but can an adult commit a juvenile crime? I mean, why do we have the classification of juvenile if the presumption is that juveniles' minds aren't entirely developed and therefore they're not as responsible as an adult or whatever?
It begs the question because brains are developing up until 28, roughly. So if that's the case, and if they keep increasing the, say, driving age and everything else, and they keep using that same argument, why are we charging people who are under 28? Why are we charging them as adults?
Right. The United States Supreme Court had to tell Florida they couldn't execute 12-year-olds. But they want to not give people licenses until they're 18. What?
It's ridiculous.
It's crazy.
I think there's a better argument against, charging, people under 28 with adult crimes, and I'll put that in quotes, then there is an argument for preventing people who are younger from driving, because you have the skills to drive at a young age, a fairly young age anyway. 12, 13, you're going to have the skills. You're going to be developed enough where you can reach the pedals, etc. That doesn't necessarily mean you're going to make all the best decisions, but that doesn't mean you're not incapable of learning to drive. And mostly driving accidents are a result of people not doing what they should. It's not a incapability of driving issue or a learning issue.
Yeah, I probably I got an accident when I was below the age of 18, and it was probably because I wasn't paying good enough attention. I probably should have been, but that's me. Anyway, so I end up in this room, and then Ian follows me close behind. Both of us sent off into the I like one of these little waiting rooms in hell kind of thing. They're not very nice places, and there's other people in there, and they're not looking so hot either. And we sit in there for probably 15 minutes. The bureaucrats basically don't give you any eye contact. They just come in and out. They're talking to different people, that kind of thing. At some point or another, somebody comes in and gets me. I've got my phone. I'm texting back and forth, telling people, hey, looks like there's going to be a problem of some sort. I don't know how long this is going to be or whatever. And the bureaucrat comes and gets me, takes me off into a little room to sit down in front of a guy with a badge. And the guy with the badge then draws up, it's got a little one of those speakerphone things, and I've got a translator. So they begin asking questions, and it has to go from one to the other and then back.
Now, is this a human translator or like a device?
It's a human.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'm not sure that his English was that great, but we went back and forth, and basically they determined, first thing I said is, they asked about some other parts of the paperwork just to kind of get me kind of warmed up, and then at some point or another they ask about the charge, and I'm like, well, yes, but I don't have to answer because I was charged, as a youthful offender and blah, 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 and I just kind of laid that out. And so he just kept asking questions, and at some point or another basically said, well, sorry, any charge where you do more than 1 year in prison, it doesn't matter whether you've been, released by order of the Florida Supreme Court. It doesn't matter if your record's expunged because of youthful offender status. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You're just going to have to leave. Sorry. And he said, but since you're such a nice guy, instead of deporting you, I'm only going to deny you entry, which apparently is somehow legally better. And, what am I going to do? Basically, I mean, my options are nil. I can keep saying things, or I can say, all right, man. And he's like, and you've lived a very good life up to this point, so good for you. And I'm like, whatever helps you sleep at night. That's where I ended up with his.
He's like forgiving you for
right.
something. That seems ridiculous and kind of disturbing.
This is the part about it that is so painful for me, so disturbing, is that in this moment, I was reduced to basically being a convict again. That the only thing about me, I'm a firefighter, I'm a politician, I'm a nationally syndicated talk show host. I've done, all these achievements that I've had in my life are completely meaningless to this little bureaucrat with his little badge. That the only thing that is important is that I leave the country because 30 years ago, mistakes happened and I did things that I shouldn't have. I was in places that I shouldn't have been. And, absolutely. But, like the jurisdiction of the court and the disposition, how I pled, none of that stuff mattered. You got to leave. And that's just so ridiculous. I was really left just feeling unheard by the whole thing.
I wonder if it would have made any difference if you had, said no to their question.
Free Talk Live. Free Talk Live. You can call in and talk about whatever's on your mind. It is Mark with you.
And Chris.
I want to tell you about Liberty.menu. Liberty.menu is a place for libertarians to go and find other libertarians who have businesses or throwing events and things like that. It's a page for us. If you believe in the non-aggression principle, that is that you reject the initiation of force against those against other people, and you agreed to abide by the non-aggression principle, then Liberty.menu is for you. Go check it out, Liberty.menu. Talking about how I got kicked out of Canada, or I'm sorry,
Canada.
That too. Did
that happen as well?
That has happened. Yeah, long ago.
Okay.
Canada, Japan was much better about it than Canada was. Canada threw me into a jail for a night, and then
really,
yeah, had a proceeding and threw me out.
Wow.
Japan just denied me entry, put me on a plane. By the way, really expeditious. I was back on a plane probably after being told no, that you can't come in by the bureaucrat, probably 35 minutes.
Wow.
Later. On a plane,
do they actually have a plane?
Country.
Did you get on the same plane that brought you there?
I don't know. I can't answer that. It wasn't the same flight number.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean that it was not the same plane, right?
Yeah, right. It would be a different flight number, so I would.
It wasn't the same crew.
Well, they probably switched crews because of the
I don't have any answers for you. I can't go any further. More or less, I can tell you they went through my luggage, of course, found nothing. Then they sent me through with my big bag, my checked bag, through the regular airport. So then they had to go through their version of the TSA, which, of course, they took all my liquids. Now, I had, you're from New Hampshire, you carry maple syrup when you go visit people. So I had a quart of maple syrup for Roger Veer that I was going to give him, and it was in my checked bag, which should have made it fine, except they made me take my checked bag through the, airport and then drop it off at the breezeway thing so that they could then check it. So they took all my liquids, which includes some shaving cream. I could live without that, but I'm a little miffed about the maple syrup, I must say.
Huh.
Japan, you owe me a quart of maple syrup. You and your officious little bureaucrats. I know they took it home. I hope it wasn't wasted. For God's sake, can you imagine destroying a, organic premium bottle of a quart of maple syrup?
It probably was destroyed.
Oh, God.
It probably was. They do that. They do. They destroy a lot of goods that just get seized.
Well, it'd be a terrible waste, but nonetheless. So, yeah, then they popped me on the plane and off I went. That flight was a bit longer. I had to go L.A. to Salt Lake, I think, and then Salt Lake to Logan. Anyway, basically in travel time from leaving here, the studio, at 2 o'clock in the morning is when Ian and I left. I basically slept on the couch for a couple of hours, caught some Z's before I left on the trip, to getting back when my wife picked me up at Logan. We finally arrived back at my at home at 2 o'clock in the morning again. So it was 48 hours of just being on a plane or going through an airport or something. And it was pretty awful all in all. But I was expecting an awful flight. That's kind of how it is when you go to, halfway around the world and back. But I wasn't expecting to come back in so quickly.
Yeah, so soon.
I was expecting a little bit of a respite in between and to get to see, one of the most famous cities in the world. But instead, they decided to kick me out. I wish I'd have known, but I probably wouldn't have listened anyway, because I wouldn't have believed that they had some kind of computer system that would have let them know that somebody got a conviction when they were under the age of 18 30 years ago, and that they were going to make a big deal about it.
I have to wonder if this was specifically as a result of other publicity that has occurred in the last 20 years, and not as a result of a computer record.
Some would question it. I don't know.
Yeah, we've got other people that we know in Japan, I won't name, but who have felony records, and they are in Japan. It kind of begs the question of, well, how come they were able to get into Japan, but you were not?
I don't have any answers. I couldn't say. All I can do is report what was said, and they pretty clearly knew that I had some kind of conviction, and they were going to find out. They were going to have me say it, more or less. And
I wonder if you had said no.
I refuse.
Yeah, they would have also rejected you, because if it was something on the internet as opposed to an official record, it would have made a difference.
If I would have said just, I don't have to answer the question in any manner different than I have answered it.
Either answering no or simply not answering.
Right. Just sitting there and refusing to answer.
Yeah.
I don't think so. When you're, sitting there at customs or immigration or whatever in a foreign country, you really don't have the right to remain silent.
I don't think you have an ability to remain silent.
You have the ability to remain silent.
Well, I mean, let's put it this way. They're going to do bad things to you, potentially.
Right. The worst thing they could have done was refuse me entry, though.
I don't think that was the worst thing they could do. From what I was reading, there's like a 30-day penalty potentially for trying to enter the country with a record, a felony record.
Okay.
From what I understand, I think they could have actually held you for 30 days before. Basically,
frankly, I think that would have been better. If you could imagine the kind of stink that would have arisen from Free Talk Live, the way that we would have just kicked up dust if they would have thrown me in jail for 30 days. I think that would have been the best possible scenario. At this point, all they're getting is going to get a half an hour of me on the air complaining that I got kicked out of Japan. But man, oh man, if they'd have thrown me in jail for 30 days, that'd have been fun.
Sometimes I also have to wonder if that also was to your advantage, being a talk show host and not wanting to get negative publicity, because that is something that could also have benefited you in some way.
They didn't mention it. They didn't mention, like, the only part of my past they wanted to talk about was a conviction. They didn't want to talk about what I had done with my life after that. The bureaucrat basically said that I'm a good man. Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm a good man. I appreciate that. As though I needed his chop in any way. But other than that, that was it. The fact that I'm firefighter, politician, talk show host, am credited by my fire chief with saving people's lives. I mean, none of this stuff is consequential. So
nope, that's the system. It's messed up. It's unfair. It's just absolutely insane. It's contradictory. I also have to wonder now. They also pulled Ian out, but they actually let him through, and I was actually kind of half expecting them to deny him entry as well.
Yeah,
because he does have a criminal record,
but it's a misdemeanor.
That's right.
Yeah,
but even a $50 pot fine will get you rejected from Japan. So now I am guessing that there was no any kind of drug related convictions in his.
What the bureaucrat told me was that if you do more than 1 year, you're going to be refused. If you do less, then you won't be.
Okay. Because I think there was two separate, from what I was reading, I think there were two separate situations. There's the do more than a year situation, and then there's also a separate thing for drugs. And any kind of drug conviction.
I don't know that Ian has a drug conviction.
Yeah, no, I don't know that Ian has any kind of drug conviction either. I don't think he does either. So I'm guessing that's why he was allowed in. But...
Well, either way, your thoughts on it, 855-450-3733. It's 855-450-FREE as in Free Talk Live.
Free Talk Live has found that though U.S. financial institutions are prohibited from doing business with foreign gambling websites, it's not illegal for U.S.-based internet users to gamble on those sites. People have been using VPNs or virtual private networks to connect to sites like games.bitcoin.com and play games with Bitcoin Cash. Games.bitcoin.com features poker, blackjack, roulette, craps, keno, slots, and dice. You can conduct your own investigation at games.bitcoin.com.
Free Talk Live. You are free to call in and talk live here on the airwaves. It is Mark with you.
And Chris.
And actually, Michael Hampton has been doing some research here, clicking and clacking in the background, and apparently has found some things out about Japan adding a new electronic database here.
There is a, yes, this is Michael Hampton. There is a new data sharing agreement that just went into effect in January between the U.S. and Japan to share criminal records and fingerprint information. So
that's probably how I got.
That's probably how you got. So apparently, Japan fingerprints everybody who comes into the country.
I see.
Right when you
They
get there, they take your picture, they scan your fingerprints.
Yes, they do.
And then they stick your passport on their little reader, and then all that. If you're an American, all that information gets sent back to the U.S. And if you're in the FBI's NCIC or III or whatever government databases, that criminal record comes right back.
I have to wonder if you were. I wonder if they violated their own rules, basically, in the situation.
How so?
If that is the case. I mean, as a useful offender.
By the way, Ian has called into the Discord line, so I'm just going to go ahead and bring him on here, and we'll have a four-way, or whatever that might be worth. Ian, you there? Oh, let me try this button. Ian, you there?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you. Sorry. Buttons like they've changed up a little bit. Apparently, did you hear the part about Japan adding a new system where they liaison with the United States' criminal background checks?
I mean, I don't know how new it is, but yeah, I mean, that's obviously what
January.
they're doing.
Yeah, they just started that in January.
Delightful, huh?
Oh, good timing.
Yeah, I got in the first half year, just under the wire, to be one of the noobs caught in. You were saying, Chris, I'm sorry.
What was I saying?
I don't know. Either way, Ian, what were your take on the process there? I mean, do you think there was anything I could have done to have not?
No.
Yeah, I didn't think so either.
No, I mean, you tried to BS them by not claiming that you had a conviction. They obviously found out you did.
Well,
and,
I kind of have a legal standing to do that as a youthful offender, but go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm BSing
I mean, like the guy said, he didn't deport you, which probably means some time in a jail cell before you leave.
Apparently, that was an option.
Yeah, probably could have been worse.
Yeah, was it? Didn't you read something about 30 days, Ian?
I think it was 23 or something like that.
Okay.
But yeah, there was a few weeks that could have been spent inside a jail cell. And that's the same thing is true in Canada. When I went to when we did our little event back in like 2015 at Porkfest, and everybody drove up to the border, and they said, "Nope, you can't come in." To me, they said, "If you try to come back, then we will charge you with a felony, and you will go to jail." So they can do that sort of thing if they want.
Well, when I was kicked out of Canada, they took me to jail for the night, and the magistrate kicked me out of the country officially in the morning, and that meant that like this was different in Japan, where I was just denied entry. So
right,
that's
what it probably could have been like in Japan had they wanted to go through that process with you.
Don't you think it would have been good for Free Talk Live for that to occur?
Yeah, it's a good argument for that. So what Roger, I met with Roger Veer yesterday from Bitcoin.com.
Right. And so this is what I was most excited about going to Japan for, was going to the Bitcoin.com new offices and seeing everything there and watching how everything worked. But go ahead.
Yeah, and that was cool, and I'll probably go back there today because I don't know what else to do. But as you know, he is a felon for, I think the charge was something like illegal possession of fireworks or something like that.
He's basically made a political prisoner by the United States government because an FBI agent had a vendetta against Roger because Roger was running against his father in a assemblyman race out in California. Roger's the only person in U.S. history to have ever been convicted under this charge. And what he was doing was he was selling rat traps that had little like M80s in them. They're for agricultural rat traps. You put them out outside, and if the rat gets in there, bang, like blows his little head off or whatever. And they're very effective, and that's why they have them. But it's hard to kill rats, and you don't want to leave them out in the field with the standard indoor rat traps and that kind of thing. They put him in jail over rat traps.
Wow.
Yeah. But the key is, even though it was a felony, his sentence was less than a year.
I see.
So that's the reason why he is allowed into the country, even though he told me that for 10 years, because he's lived here for more than a decade, for 10 years, every time he came back in, they'd keep putting him in that room that we were in, and he'd have to go through that process every single time. And then eventually, after about a decade of doing that, they finally just started letting him in without putting him in the room. But it was because of the less than a year sentence in his case. That's why he's able to get in as a felon. If you were to spend more than a year, then you don't get into Japan.
Well, that's the problem is I didn't get to see what they had in their database and what they didn't. So, if they would have I just didn't have didn't know what to answer or what not.
I know what I was thinking before. It actually begs a question, because he was a youthful offender and his record was supposedly sealed, whether or not the United States was actually violating its own laws. Were they allowed to share that information? Now, they may have been allowed to share information on adults, but they may not have been allowed to share information. And I suspect there could be some sort of issue there in their system that it's there may be a lawsuit of some kind.
Let's sue somebody.
I mean, I'm not saying to sue them. I mean, I don't think it's probably worth their time and effort, but
I wouldn't know how to go about it.
Yeah, it's also an issue of governments tend not to allow or accept liability basically for themselves.
Well, Florida would have sent your record to the feds way back when, and the feds sent it to Japan 2 days ago. So,
but if it was supposed to be sealed,
supposed to be sealed, then
it wasn't.
Florida never told the feds to get rid of that record.
As I understand it, the record of the arrest and the conviction exist, but the record of the amount of time that I did does not. So when Canada had this sharing situation and the bureaucrats were confused as to why I did so little time, they only knew that I did a year and a half in the adult prison, not any of the time in the youthful offender prison.
Okay.
Okay.
So
that's interesting.
The year and a half would have still been in excess of the amount of time that Japan would accept. But
that seems weird that would be reported at all, considering that you were still a youth when it
I don't know
occurred.
that I was at that point. At that point, the Florida Department of Corrections had reclassified me as an adult to send me to an adult prison. Otherwise, they would have been in violation of their own laws.
It just seems very bizarre.
Sorry, they do what they want.
The system is not sane. It's
Ian, tell me about the Bitcoin.com studios before I get rid of you.
They're essentially just what you might expect. It's part of an office. They've got about 8 people working around a table with big computer monitors and programmers working on all kinds of projects, some of which I can tell you about, some of which I can't. But they're very, very. There's some really cool stuff going on with Bitcoin Cash right now. They just got this token system going. You know how the Ethereum crypto has had tokens for a while.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys have ever tried to use them, but it's like super confusing. Where if you ever try to like send the tokens to somebody, it's like, well, you got to include an amount of gas. What's gas? Well, it's a fee. Well, how much do I send? Well, you got to figure that out somehow. Just try to send it.
Yeah,
if it doesn't work, send
I
more.
never could figure out how much gas to send or that. And I didn't have any Ethereum anyway because I traded it all for another crypto. So I didn't know you had to have some left over in order to spend these tokens.
Yep, that's what it's
so
like.
here it's just the tokens get sent with Bitcoin Cash and a very small amount of Bitcoin Cash, and so there's some deals they're working with some major companies, including one of the biggest Japanese airlines and a point of sale system down in Australia.
Right. I mean, at this point, Bitcoin Cash you can spend Bitcoin Cash in more locations in Japan than you can Bitcoin, and although transactions are higher on the Bitcoin network, I'll bet you transactions that have to do with purchases are higher on the Bitcoin Cash network. So purchases in real life.
No bet.
That's a good question. I bet you're right about that, especially as we've seen the folks over at AnyPay.global. They added Bitcoin Cash last year, and so now there's actually a Bitcoin Cashback. We've talked about Cashback before. Roger and Bitcoin.com did a deal with AnyPay to do Bitcoin Cashback. So now whenever you go to an AnyPay.global merchant,
Ian, thanks for the call. Appreciate it.
Yep. See.
It's Free Talk Live. You can call in, talk about whatever's on your mind. It's Mark with you.
Michael.
And Chris.
Yeah, Michael's sitting in here. He had a few things to report about the last topic here. And, Michael, you're welcome to stay as long as you like this evening. It's up to you. You don't have to stay the whole show. Just
no obligations.
You chiming in there.
Came in to drop a little information on you. No big deal.
Let's go to the phones. We've got Sarah in New Mexico. Sarah, you're on Free Talk Live.
Yes, I have heard that Calcium cures cancer.
You've heard that, all right?
Yeah. You know what else cures? Or I'm sorry, not cures. You want to know what else kills cancer? mercury. Just, ingest a little bit of that and you'll be good. It'll kill your cancer.
Hey, you need to really qualify that statement very quickly.
It'll kill your cancer and you.
Yeah, right. It'll solve your problem very quickly. Problem solved.
Right.
But
the calcium. I want all the people that have cancer to try this out. People that are listening.
Are you talking about like calcium pills?
Well, I mean, there's many different types of calcium.
Yeah, there sure are.
Powder calcium pill. But
just drink more milk.
Works best. So my thing is that why don't you try the dosages 1,500 milligrams per day? And I want the listeners with cancer to call back.
How many days?
Is that? Does anybody know how much calcium that is? Like, is that?
I don't know. I don't have any idea.
I've got no idea either.
I don't know.
You're just taking the word of somebody who's called in on a radio show at this point. I mean, I don't know what the cost is in so much as what would be the health. If it's $10 for a bottle of for 2 bottles of calcium and you take all of them and your cancer's cured, that's a cheap solution. However, the chances of it happening seem low to me. I can't imagine that this easy cure is just lying out there.
That's why I want the cancer patients that are listening to try this out.
Okay.
For a whole year. 1,500 milligrams. No, every day. I mean, for a whole year or 6 months, a long time. Like let's say for 6 months to a year, and let me know if their cancer has,
How are they going to let you know you don't listen?
Well, I do listen when I'm on hold.
When you're on hold.
I do listen when you're on the radio.
All right. Well, if somebody calls in and tells me, I'll let you know. Okay.
No, I mean, but the chemistry, there is like actual chemistry behind this.
I thought like some of calcium pills were just like ground up oyster shells. Like your body can't even process them.
Well, you know what? You have to take the ones with no fillers. I was told about the fillers that are concrete or whatever the thing is that it actually gives you kidney stones. So you have to be careful with a calcium source. So, but the thing is, the idea, the science behind it is that calcium is alkaline, and alkaline drives the acid out of our body. And when the acid is driven out, what comes in is oxygen. So oxygen in our tissue, it kills the cancer cells.
Sarah, what is your source for this information?
Well, Mr. Barefoot, he has a master's degree in biochemistry. So he has a degree, and he was on television, and he wrote a book also. So that's where I heard this from. So this is like a very much like chemistry. So I think like cabbage, I was told that it's alkaline. So
is there some sort of peer-reviewed study that you've got, or are you just talking about some quack doctor out there that is, supposedly?
Well, he's actually not a doctor. He was actually selling coral calcium, and that's what I take. I take coral calcium, coral calcium for Okinawa. And but I heard his commercial.
Because the coral in the United States isn't good enough.
Right.
Sarah, I do appreciate
coral
that.
Calcium.
Yes.
Coral calcium has a very similar constitution to human skeleton.
Rocks.
Thank
you.
Their composition.
Appreciate the call. I don't think in the case of many of these supplements, right? Like I take plenty of supplements daily.
Yeah.
The issue with taking them is that not that I think that every supplement I take works or does something, because they don't. I believe that somewhere around half of these supplements don't. I did, however, one time see my wife give my cat bovine liver extract, and to cure his little he had this kind of skin condition on his back, like near his butt, and sure enough, it cleared up. That cat had that condition for years, and in conjunction with this bovine liver extract that she gave, and he loved it. He would eat this stuff right up. It's basically was liver pate, and it was something some kind of, I don't know, whatever. It was some company made it, and he loved it, and he would eat it, and within 2 weeks his skin condition was cleared. So it's not that every supplement I believe to be just bull. I think you have to, if you try some things and they work for you, fine. But when you're just taking things based on faith, well, you're just taking them based on faith. And who knows if they're going to do anything. If it's a life extension pill, how do you compare and contrast? There's no control group for your life. You know, you can't say whether or not the taking of this pill extended your life by 20 days, 20 minutes, 20 hours. You know, you don't know anything.
Or didn't at all.
Or didn't at all. It did nothing.
And also one of the problems with that is you even if it would extend your life, if there's some other condition that you die of, it's not going to extend your life at that point, right?
Yeah, it doesn't do you any good if you die in a car accident.
Right.
These things are all true.
Yeah, it might, but it might extend your life if you don't have anything else that comes up that kills you.
Right. I don't. As far as the supplement industry in the United States is robust.
Oh, yeah.
And lots of people take them. And there's been some studies that have come out recently that basically say that supplements generally do nothing for you. I don't argue with scientists when they say things. However, when I've had personal experience, like I have with Cat and a couple of other instances, I mean, the Cat's the best one because you can say, hey, look, the cat is not experiencing the placebo effect.
Yeah.
Right? So.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting because there's not necessarily any evidence of just because there's a lack of evidence doesn't necessarily mean that it's not going to have an effect. But
right.
The problem is you don't know, you have no idea, and somebody saying it, some random person saying it on the internet doesn't make it so, and people buy into that. So
agreed. But if I had cancer and somebody said calcium, mentioned calcium, I did a little bit of looking on the internet, and somebody says calcium, oh yeah, calcium will do something for you or whatever, then I'm liable to take it. For instance, there's a drug called metformin. Are you familiar with it?
Metformin? Yes.
I've heard of
metformin.
it.
And there are some studies that indicate that this drug will not only take care of your diabetes, but extend life too. And this is the closest thing we've got at this point to a study that says something extends life.
Isn't it also like an antidepressant, something like that?
I don't know. It hasn't changed anything for me. But when I was in Mexico, I loaded up on metformina. Metformina. And I've been taking it ever since. Have I lived longer? I don't know. How would I know?
It's working so far.
It's working, so I am not dead.
Well, I mean, I think there's all sorts of things that can extend the life. Like it'll increase your likelihood of living longer. I mean, if you really want to cut out all sorts of fats and things like that.
Oh yeah, you just cut out calories. You cut calories down to
it's something like that.
Like 1,700 a day.
Yeah, if you basically starve yourself, you will live longer.
And so I had been adhering to this, what they call intermittent fasting, which is really just skipping breakfast. And the idea is that this somehow will extend your life to some extent. And let's hope it does. I don't know. Just it's fine. Life isn't that bad just eating from noon till 8 p.m.
Yeah, I mean, my experience has been there's a little that you can do to really have much of an impact. Mm-hmm. I've realized that not your body actually seems to regulate itself, or the human body regulates itself fairly well. If you don't eat enough, you'll gain weight. I'm sorry. If you don't eat enough and then you start eating again, you'll gain more weight, right? Mm-hmm. And if you eat too much, your body won't take on those extra calories necessarily. So fasting and then eating, it's actually counterproductive.
Well, if you're fasting for just a portion of the day, then actually it's supposed to help your metabolic rate. But this metabolism thing is the most elusive hair on the internet, right? Like it is hard to nail this thing down. I think as all I do is I look at everything skeptically, but at the same time I realize, well, nothing ventured, nothing gained is the way I see it. As long as it's not a big loss. When you're spending tens of thousands of dollars at some kind of foreign health clinic or something that's supposed to give you stem cells, that's when you got to be really skeptical.
Yeah.
The number, 855-450-3733. 855-450, free as in Free Talk Live.
Go to themorganreport.com and receive updates and insights you will not find anywhere else on the web. You will discover how to grow and protect your wealth under all market conditions. The Free Morgan Report provides interviews, webinars, question and answer sessions, plus mind-blowing videos. As David Morgan says, let my passion create your wealth. TheMorganReport.com. TheMorganReport.com. Free Talk Live.
It is Free Talk Live, and you are free to call in and talk live on the airwaves. That's what we do here. Free Talk Live 7 days a week, 365 days a year. If it is 1,900 hours or up to 2,200 hours Eastern Time, anywhere in the world, you can call us and talk about whatever it is that you want to talk about. It's Mark with you.
And Michael.
And Chris.
Michael's sitting in with us. Appreciate you staying as long as you like here, Michael. We talked in the last hour about sort of my adventures getting kicked out of Japan a couple of days ago. I can't even describe what day things occurred when over the course of, like that last 48 hours that just sort of disappeared because, you're on the other side of the world. I don't even know.
And you're on a plane and the time zone changed about 6 times.
Right.
Yeah.
I imagined getting work done on the plane. That did not happen. It just didn't happen.
You're lucky if you get sleep done on the plane.
Right. So I'm looking at, I've got a little app on my phone that I had pulled up for this purpose. It says it's 2,000 hours now on Friday, May the 10th. But in Tokyo, so, May the 11th, it's 900 hours. 07, but, 7 minutes after
9:07.
Yeah, 9:07. So, I mean, you can call in and talk about immigration laws in countries and things like that if you want, but I can tell you I wasn't real pleased with what happened in Japan. But I got an interesting article here. I found it through InfoWars, which I am loath to use as a source at any point. I looked it up, and I do have an Italian site that does mention things about buses and Muslims. So I've also found a corroborating story that appears to be hosted on several sites, none of which I would want to use as a source for anything on Free Talk Live, but I'm going to go ahead and use this one from jihadwatch.org. I know, Free Talk Live hitting a new low.
Oh.
I'm just going to start reading it here. Did I say Christine Douglas Williams is writing, demands by Islamic supremacists are incessant and insidious, she says. A bus driver in Paris refused to pick up a woman because of her short skirt. When the bus arrived, the driver stopped, looked at them, and then left without opening the doors. She and a partner there. The girls ran after the bus and managed to catch up to it at a red light. When they asked the driver why they weren't allowed on board, he responded, "Think about dressing as you should." There should have been ongoing incidents of Muslims denying. There have been ongoing incidents of Muslims denying infidels, whatever. Here, it just goes on from there. But this story appears to be true, and those appear to be the facts. And
it sounds plausible.
Yeah, it sounds plausible.
I mean,
Sounds like it could have
regardless of whether it's true, I definitely can imagine this happening.
Right,
and not even just with a Muslim.
And it's not just with a Muslim, but I can see, people choosing choosing their religion over, their job is fine by me. I think you should be able to do that. I don't think there should be any ramifications necessarily. But if this bus driver didn't want to pick up people who are dressing differently than he would like people to pick up, maybe if he has a bad day or whatever, and he doesn't want to pick somebody up because of the way they're dressed, he probably should have known that ahead of time. Like before you took the job. Like, for instance, I'm a Quaker. We don't believe in using violence. Before I take a job with the mob doing a hitman work, right? Like maybe I should consider whether or not that's going to morally conflict with my values. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, Don Luigi. I can't take this. You're asking me to kill somebody and I'm a Quaker. Hey, listen here, Mark. You took a job as a hitman, right? You're supposed to whack people when I say whack them. Right? And so I can't just decide not to do it afterwards. So this guy works for the government. These ladies in the miniskirts pay their taxes. I presume this is the truth. Maybe these are private buses, in which case this is an entirely different conversation. If you're running a private bus line, you've got your own set of rules. Right. Maybe this guy owns the private bus line, in which case I support him. If you own your own bus, you should be able to decide who you pick up and who you don't pick up. As far as I'm concerned, I think
I would agree. But how many people that own their own bus line drive a bus?
Vanishingly few.
Yeah, I mean, happen. It just doesn't.
In Paris, I can't imagine this is possible. I'm just
right.
giving the qualifying statement. You shouldn't have to violate your religion if you don't want to. However, when you take a job, especially a government job, where everybody pays their taxes, then yes, that's your job.
You're supposed to do that job according to specifications.
Even if it wasn't a government bus, it's still probably not in the job description to deny passengers based on the length of their skirt.
Let's go to the next story on that one. I want to get into that too because it's it's relevant. So basically, there have been. In another case, a Muslim Uber driver in New York City threw a gay man out of the car, dragging him along the street and said he'd be beheaded in his country. In another case in NYC,
nice
a Muslim Uber driver kicked a lesbian couple out of the car for kissing. More recently in the UK, Uber banned a Muslim driver who refused to pick up Jewish customers. He said he had a no Jews policy. But as Roger Spencer notes and warns, it's good as man is fired. Anyway, so again, these in the case of Uber, these literally are people who are driving their vehicle, right, to pick people up.
Right.
And I don't think that they have any obligation to pick up somebody that they don't want to pick up. However, Uber, as the dispatcher in this circumstance, has the ability, if they wish, to say, well, we're just not going to send any more fares your direction if this is going to be your criteria.
Absolutely. Yep.
So, I don't think you need to let gays, lesbians, or Jews – are gays and lesbians the same thing? Chris, I'm going to default to you on this one.
They're different sexes.
Yeah, but are lesbians gay?
Are lesbians gay? Yes.
Well, they're not gay men.
They're not gay men.
Yeah, but gay doesn't necessarily – it's not necessarily a particular sex when you're talking about somebody being gay.
Right. Well,
a lesbian specific sex.
That's how I would define it.
Yeah.
But GLBT includes an L, and I'm wondering whether gay has come to mean male gay.
Historically, gay did imply male.
Really? Really? Okay.
Yeah, I don't.
I'll have to take your word on it. I mean, I'm only 34, so.
I find lesbian to be a harsh word and would rather just use the term gay because I find it to be a less harsh term. But
I would consider gay to include either men or women. But
either that's how I would have defined it initially. But
I would imagine that's probably the commonly accepted term, whether or not whether or not there's a history of it being specifically men.
Yeah. So I don't think that and I don't care if it's Muslims, but I mean in these cases, this Jihad Watch is very concerned about what these people's religion is. Yeah. But as far as I'm concerned, it doesn't matter to me why somebody refuses to let somebody in the car. They should be allowed to do that. They can have a no Jews policy, as they say here. And I, as a person who would at least by some be considered Jewish, I don't have a problem with that. If somebody wants to say you can't ride in my car because you're Jewish, excellent. I will be talking to Uber about it, though. And I would hope that Uber would say, look, You need the Firm Believers rideshare app or whatever. Some ride sharing app that allows people who want to deal with this kind of crap and hate in their lives. Because I don't. I don't want to be told by somebody that that I'm not allowed in the car for these reasons. And if I'm confronted with that while using a major app, I'm definitely going to say, "Hey, there's a problem here. This is an issue."
Yeah, it's interesting.
But I'm much more likely to be denied because I'm a convicted felon of things than I am for my
you have
race,
your
gender.
Own reasons to be discriminated against.
Yeah, and nobody cares, mind you. That kind of discrimination is completely acceptable.
It is completely acceptable, but I can sympathize with it, and I certainly care. But I definitely agree that I would say 99.95% of the population does not care.
Yeah,
at all.
Right, they don't.
I think there's probably 2 to 3% of the population that has sympathy, but how many of them are going to go out there and protest it? probably even a smaller percentage.
Right. It's very little of that.
It's sad.
So, yeah, if you think that I'm not entirely sure if you're applauding this Muslim driver for not picking up these people in the short skirt, or the Jews, or the gay people, or whatever, the number 855-450-3733. If you don't, your thoughts too are welcome. 855-450-3733. Free Talk Live. You're welcome to call in, talk about whatever you want to talk about. We're talking about here a Muslim guy in Paris, bus driver, decided not to pick up a couple of gals because at least one of them had on a skirt that was too short. And there have been a couple of other stories of, Muslim Uber drivers deciding not to pick up gay guys. A lesbian couple got kicked out of a car for kissing. And then a situation where an Uber driver was banned for refusing to pick up Jewish customers. I'm not sure how he would know. Maybe if they were really obvious. He had a no Jews policy, he said, and Uber got pretty upset with that. And just sort of discussions about discrimination and what's acceptable and what's not acceptable, I think, from a moral standpoint here on Free Talk Live. But I want to tell you about AnyPay. If you've got a problem with a gay-owned business, you shouldn't go to how to take Bitcoin, helpmetakebitcoin.com. Because as I just described, Stephen and Derek, in the last break there.
That's good.
They're so flaming, things near them catch fire. Right?
This is true.
These guys from Help Me Take Bitcoin, who will gladly help you take Bitcoin at your retail business for free, make it easy for you, just make it as simple as they can possibly be, are queerer than football bats. Have you ever heard that term, Chris?
No.
It's a funny one. I love it. Love it. Queerer than a football bat. It amuses me. It doesn't offend you, does it?
No.
Chris, you're also gay, right?
Yes.
Okay. Just want to make sure. I don't know what you've said on the air and what you haven't. You and I haven't been on the air too darn often together.
No. Totally out. Everybody knows, and
you've got an established partner.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that you guys were gay together or whatever, for the longest time, because I don't go poking around in people's business. It just doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't come up that often. I mean, it's like I'll introduce myself. I'll introduce myself and my partner as my partner. So,
yeah.
And unfortunately, in my particular,
Ian's my partner too, right?
Yeah, right. Unfortunately,
and I have a wife.
Right. Unfortunately, the choice of words, which I haven't yet to come up with a better choice of words, can also, especially in my situation because I have a business, also people then jump to the conclusion that we're business partners when we have no business relationship whatsoever.
Well, some business relationship,
but
not partner
business relationship, but we're not partners in the same company. He has a project and a software project that he does, and he gets money from that from other sources. And I do use his software on some of my company's products, or one of my company's products. Well, a couple of them over the years. But the point is, it's one product in a catalog of hundreds of items. So it's like there's no real he's certainly not my partner in the sense that he owns a part of the business or anything of that nature.
Right.
So
you could say gay partner. That would just that'd stand their hair on end when you
that'd make it obvious.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, but it also seems to be like kind of like
throwing in people's faces.
Yeah, like, and I'm not a flaming homosexual, so to speak. I'm not looking to be like, oh, I'm gay, like
make a declaration.
Right. It's like, do you make a declaration that you're straight? When you introduce your partner,
well, it's just obvious as it could possibly be. My wife's got, D cups and, she's got a thin waistline and, these kind of things that people know right away. This is not a man masquerading as a woman.
Look, maybe I should introduce my partner as my wife, but it's like, am
That'd
I
be even weirder?
Right. Like
Bob's nobody's wife.
Like, I don't know. Like, what is that? What is that?
I don't know.
There's not an alternative for me to use other than partner.
Yeah.
That comes off as not
partner's the only term that you find comfortable, and the term itself is confusing. It could be a person that you ride horses with, it could be a person that you're in business with, or it could be a person who you're in a romantic relationship with, and it's confusing as it could be.
I think there is a way to solve this problem. It's simply me showing him affection, and it would get the message across, a little bit of affection, holding my hand or something like that. But he is not a person who is, he's out and everything, but he is the exact opposite of flaming.
Yeah.
So he's shy. So he doesn't believe in holding hands in public. Like, even if he was with a woman, it wouldn't make any difference to him.
Right.
So and not that he's religious or anything. He cares about what other people think. And some people think that men and women shouldn't hold hands. So, and for that matter, two gay guys. So he just doesn't do it.
I know that I've held hands with men in public, like my dad and things like that. I mean, it wouldn't bother me to hold somebody's hand, but I would never interlace fingers.
Yeah, I mean, so you have to also look at it from his perspective. He grew up in the South.
Yeah.
He spent a number of years down there. He was born in the South. He didn't live a long time in the South, but he spent 4 years of his teenage, basically puberty through, young adulthood. So it's
formative years.
Yeah, he's got some legitimate concerns, and he can't get over the fact that he's not in the South anymore.
If it's formative, it's formative. I still say ma'am and those kind of things. I grew up in the South, and frankly, my parents didn't require me to say ma'am and sir, but enough time working for the state and the capacity that I did as an inmate, you got to do it. So, that's how that goes. Anyway, if you want to take Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies, Dash, Zcash, Bitcoin Cash, go to helpmetakebitcoin.com. I don't care what you think about these fellas. They do great work. Helpmetakebitcoin.com. And as, what do you guys think about these Muslim drivers that have refused to pick up people based on, the sort of their dress or their religion or their sexual preference?
I mean, look, if he was working for me, I'd fire him because he's not doing his job.
Right.
I do the same.
Obviously, I don't have a problem with somebody who has. I'm not going to fire somebody because they have a certain religion or faith or whatever.
So what if
I'm going to fire them for not doing their job, though?
You have a business, and you actually do have employees at times,
right?
And what if somebody said, "Look, I don't agree with your lifestyle, Chris"?
That's fine. I wouldn't fire them just because they disagree with my lifestyle.
Yeah.
But if they're doing stuff,
I'm not sure what your lifestyle is. I mean, you don't even go out and party on the weekends or anything. Like, your lifestyle is so not confronting.
Boring. Yeah, it's a boring lifestyle. I would definitely agree with. Well, I don't know. I probably wouldn't say it's boring. I would say more along the lines. I think there's certain interesting aspects of it that, especially over the last couple of years, but I don't necessarily. I'm not a party person.
So you wouldn't even refuse to hire somebody who thought that being gay was bad, right?
Yeah.
As long as you didn't have to hear it over and over again. That's the thing is, you're going to have to.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you're going to be abusive, that's one thing. But if I've hired people who are religious, right? Like I didn't fire anybody who just because they were religious either. I haven't really fired anybody. I've never felt like I had the need, and it's I mean, certainly I would say that people perform. I've had employees, that have performed less than ideally, and certainly I would have been justified in firing them.
But you try to figure out how to have them do the job that's right for them, and tailor the job to some extent to their skill set.
I mean, you're going to put up with a little bit of garbage.
Having an employee.
Yeah, I mean, with any employee, it's but I mean, at some point you do have to fire somebody if they're not showing up to work on time or they're not showing up to work at all. So,
Free Talk Live, 855-450-3733. What do you think? Not picking up people because of their gender, their ethnicity? Free Talk Live.
Are you concerned that liberty, free market economics, and the values that made America great are no longer taught in schools? Well, so am I. so I got my son the Tuttle Twins children's book series.
My name is Jack, and I'm 11 years old, and I just started the Tuttle Twins. So far, I have learned that some people can use the government to ruin the economy and destroy people's businesses.
Give all the young people in your life a chance at reason and clear thought, because they're not going to get it at school. There are 9 books in the series, and each one teaches a set of ideas that children aren't getting elsewhere. Go to TuttleTwins.com and use coupon code FTL to get 40% off. Again, that's TuttleTwins.com.
Free Talk Live. You're welcome to call in, talk about whatever's on your mind. It's Mark with you.
And Chris.
855-450-3733. It's 855-450. Free as in freedom. And, on Free Talk Live, we try to get a whole bunch of different topics going at any given time. And it could be difficult to take on some of these issues. In many cases, you're not allowed in this world. This is a funny one because you see the intersection of a vilified religious group and a vilified sexual preference group. I don't even know what to call them, but gay folks and Muslim folks. So here you have a situation where a Muslim Uber driver refused to pick up a gay guy, and I'm not sure how he determined that the guy was gay. Some guys you can look at and just determine, well, that guy's gay, or he's headed off to some kind of weird party. But there's very few of the gay guys in the world are that way. A couple of lesbians got kicked out of an Uber for kissing in the car. Now, I'm not sure what kind of kissing we're talking about here.
Yeah.
I just imagined pretty platonic kissing, but whatever. Wouldn't make a particular difference. If you have a problem with anybody kissing in the car, I suppose that could be an issue. But, how far could it go before you're allowed to say something as an Uber driver? I mean, are the lesbians allowed to do more? No, I don't think they are. Than somebody else.
Look, if you're going all the way, I think that's too far. I think it's probably a legitimate concern because they're going to create a mess.
Right.
But kissing? Yeah, I don't know. Even if you're going all out at kissing, it's probably, you drop the people off. They're going to get out of your car at some point. You've had worse people in your car as an Uber driver. I mean, all the drunks that Uber drivers pick up, it's kind of hard to justify somebody kissing no matter how far they're going.
As an Uber passenger, I've always had good experiences. My drivers have been great. They're just picking me up, taking me from one location to another.
Yeah.
Things like that. So it's always been
me too.
Good. And I haven't had any particular problems. A lot of people from outside the country, Uber makes it easy to, get a car and get a job. You don't have to ask anybody at that point. I don't know what their rules are as far as employing people, but, many of these people, English wasn't their primary language, and they certainly weren't from the United States. But anyway, this one Uber driver refused to pick up a Jewish customer because he had a no Jews policy. He was Muslim. And I guess Robert Spencer, I'm not sure who that is, says it warns it is good that this man was fired, but Britain is changing rapidly, and Uber, along with the entire British establishment, is trying to pretend that it isn't happening. How long will it be before Uber would be charged with being Islamophobic for firing this driver? I don't think so, because he kicked somebody else out for another religion. But anyway, it's an interesting question. How long will it be before cabs and Ubers in London will be labeled as to whether or not they allow Jews or passengers carrying alcohol or ham sandwiches, etc.? Hysterical? Just watch. I'm not sure that I go for it. But, what they've done is, what this Uber driver has done is give fuel to that kind of guy there so that he can make his statements. And,
yeah,
if you want to have a no Jews or no Muslims policy in your vehicle, you're just not going to really operate very well in modern society.
There's probably a really easy way to solve this problem. Instead of going and getting, business through Uber, start your own, cab company. It's not like it's impossible.
It's just highly unlikely at this point. Well, I mean, you could just go around getting rides in your neighborhood from, I mean, if you live in, I don't know, maybe I think they've got Muslim enclaves in Paris or whatever.
There are independent taxis and things like that in Keene, so I don't necessarily know it's really that difficult.
You could build a book of business and do it.
Yeah, I don't think it would be that impossible. You probably would have to do a little bit of legwork, throw your business cards around town, things like that.
You could use apps like Uber and Lyft early on to give your business card out, so that you could then provide service to people in a way that they didn't use the app?
That might be a problem.
It'd be a problem, but you could do it.
Yeah,
I mean if you're already preparing to
true.
to get fired because you're not going to let certain people in your car, then you could. Yeah. Who cares?
I think it's if you call yourself Islamist, whatever, I think it's.
I don't think anybody calls themselves Islamist.
Well,
I think that's a term to describe somebody who is too Muslim for someone else's taste.
Well, but if you want to cater to that Islamic community, for example, right? You can do that. And I doubt you're going to find a whole lot of people who are of a different mindset than you calling up your cab company to get a ride. So I don't think that there's not a solution to this problem. I think there probably is a solution to this problem.
Well, it's not just folks like this that are having some trouble in Europe and France. This one story was out of France, but apparently France is discriminating against a different sort of person too. Got a story here from the Sovereign Man, or sovereignman.com, and I don't know who wrote it because Sovereign Man doesn't give the names of their authors, at least not generally. The Sovereign Man, Simon Black, is a nom de plume of somebody I have never quite been able to figure out who it is. I'll bet I've seen them at these conventions that I go to, the liberty-oriented conventions and stuff like that, but I don't know who Simon Black is. So, according to a recent report by Bloomberg, more than 108,000 millionaires. There's not that many millionaires out there in the world, but 108,000 of them have left their home countries last year in search of greener pastures. Most immigrated from countries like China and Russia. There's no surprise there. India also saw a large outflow of millionaires as tax authorities tightened their grip. So India had new tax rules come in place, and lots of millionaire Indians left.
Yeah, taxes in India are terrible.
Yeah. Turkey saw an exodus in the wake of their strongman president. Western countries like France and England also lost boatloads or planefuls of millionaires. Excessive taxation is the most obvious reason.
That's going to start happening in the U.S. soon, too.
I think it is.
That we have higher taxes now in the United States because of the tariffs from Trump and sales taxes because they've added sales taxes to online purchases. So you're talking about basically going from a 0% tax a few years ago up to 25, 35, 36, 37, 38, up to as high as 38% basically in taxes now.
And that's on products you buy.
Yeah, and that doesn't include, obviously, your income, the income taxes, property taxes, things like that.
So you got taxed on the money that you're going to use to buy the thing that has 38% tax on it because of the tariff.
Which is going to be higher than Europe. So in Europe, it's 20 to 25%.
Yep, that's true. So. And this matters. I've talked to liberals online on Facebook, and they laugh in my face, figuratively speaking, that I say that, if you overtax millionaires, they're going to leave. And there's some evidence that rich people will run to certain zip codes, even if the taxes are higher there. So certain zip codes in California, taxation's high. New York City, taxation's high. But you'll find that millionaires tend to like to go there because they want to hang out where other millionaires are. They want to see and be seen. I think there's kind of two different sorts of millionaires. The ones that want to be known as millionaires and the ones that want to live a nice life and basically be left alone. And there's enough of the latter that at some point or another it's going to be meaningful. So I want to read this part about what's going on in France. For instance, France taxes the net wealth of households worth more than 1.3 million euros. As a result,
that's not even that much.
There are fewer and fewer households worth more than 1.3 million euros every year. Because, ladies and gentlemen, when you put a tax on something, expect it to go away. This is why they have taxes on cigarettes.
Yep.
And have they worked? When it comes to an addictive substance, I don't know if the taxes work as much as just sort of the shaming. I think we'd have less smoking currently if we allowed more people to vape indoors. nicotine vaping indoors, because now we treat the vapors in similar fashion as we do cigarette smokers, which is ridiculous. You don't benefit as much by vaping, but I think it has an effect. The number 855-450-3733, 855-450, free as in freedom. Free Talk Live. You're welcome to call in, talk about whatever's on your mind. The number, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Or you can use the Discord lines. If you go to discord.freetalklive.com, there's an app there, and you can download that and use the Discord lines to call in and talk about whatever floats your boat. Actually, I have a call on Discord here. I guess we'll be taking that here in the relatively near future. Want to tell you about Forkfest. Forkfest is a camping festival that Free Talk Live and some other folks are participating in, forming. I don't know how to call it, founding it or any of these things. But, it's a camping festival. You can come out and hang out with us. It's really a bunch of libertarians camping in the woods. Now, you may want to do some exciting stuff. So, for instance, some people are doing, man camp, where you can learn to forge your own, bottle openers or, all kinds of things out of metal. Basically, it's a forging thing. And another guy is doing drone stuff. Another guy is serving food, and a family, actually, a lady and a gentleman serving food. You can be involved in whatever way you want. Come to Forkfest 2019. That's at Rogers Campground, June the 13th through the 18th in the beautiful White Mountains, New Hampshire. If you want to find out more, the website is forkfest.party. That's the website, forkfest.party. And we'd love to have you out there. It'd be a lot of fun. Let's see if we can go to the Discord lines here. It's Footomatic. Footomatic, you're on Free Talk Live.
Footmatic, the great one.
Footmatic.
Mark, it's good to be with you.
Well, welcome.
Hi.
Hey, just wanted to call in. I was intending to give an update on the Arizona medical marijuana situation, but I saw this interesting story out of Las Vegas about cannabis lounges going to open in Las Vegas.
Yeah, cannabis is pretty much legal in Vegas these days.
Yeah, and this is kind of dealing with a problem that we have here in Arizona with the medical stuff, is that you can't use it in public. There's like nowhere for people to go really, except this one restaurant.
One restaurant where you can smoke? Okay.
Attached to a medical marijuana dispensary. Or I guess it is classified as a dispensary.
Part of the dispensary, but they serve food. Okay.
Edible cannabis. This is from leafly.com. Clark County Sheriff Joe Lombardo said, we had over 40 million tourists coming to Las Vegas, the growing number of them buying marijuana, and absolutely nowhere for them to legally use it. People were consuming it legally on the streets, in their cars, parking garages, and hotel rooms. Which I think it's BS that you can't smoke or vape or whatever you do with your legal cannabis in your hotel room.
Especially if you have a balcony. You'd think that would be acceptable there.
Right. I mean, and correct me if I'm wrong, but there are a lot of hotel rooms or hotels in Vegas that still have smoking.
Oh, yeah.
You can smoke.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. I mean, that you're able to smoke in many of these places. You're in casinos. I mean, you can smoke cigarettes there. So, why not marijuana?
So this is the sheriff of Clark County, where in Vegas resides. He went to the Las Vegas City Council. And Nevada had basically not passed a bill that allowed cannabis lounges. So the city took it upon themselves to get these marijuana smoking lounges. which is kind of interesting.
Passed?
The city council voted a couple days ago 4-1 to approve an ordinance allowing cannabis lounges.
So is this in Paradise or Las Vegas, or is that the same thing? I mean, I know there's some distinction of some sort.
It's in Las Vegas.
Okay.
So
you have to leave the Strip to do it?
Right. Not on the Strip. It says, quote, the 11-page final ordinance, amended several times since it was first proposed in December of 2017, allows for on-premises food and non-alcoholic beverage sales. The lounges themselves are required to be separate indoor facilities, no windows or outdoor access, and can't be located within a cannabis retail space.
You know, I would love to know these people that put together these lists. I know Jason Sorens, the founder of the Free State Project, is one of them, who determine what the freest places in the United States are. Why Nevada doesn't do better? Because there's some pretty serious freedoms you can have in Nevada. If you're into hookers, you're pretty free in
Absolutely.
Nevada. If you're into smoking pot, well, suddenly Nevada in the last year or so has gotten pretty darn free. If you're into gambling, Nevada is a free place for you. Not everybody needs every freedom that there is out there.
Yeah.
And freedom is different for different people. Nevada's looking like one of the freest places on the planet right about now. And I wonder what places like Florida and New Hampshire have to bring to the table that is somehow, gets them higher on the list.
You make a good point, and I think the problem, Mark, is that we actually have a situation where there are different states with different freedoms, so to speak.
Sure.
And
if you want economic freedom to be able to open a business without asking a bunch of people and to service your customers without having to pay a bunch of money to officious bureaucrats or something, that you pretty much can't find anywhere.
Yeah, and this is the problem I think we really have pretty much everywhere, and it's that we don't have we don't have a situation where we have a group of people in one place that actually want freedom. So what we end up having is in some states we get lucky, and it could just be that next year we end up with another your state ends up with something that you don't want. So you can't really move anywhere right now. I mean, you can.
I'm working on it for you, Chris. I'll have something for you that I'll be able to
just
say.
Like Arizona is great on firearms rights.
Right.
They're great on a lot of things, but they're also terrible on a lot of things.
Right. New Hampshire's great on firearms too, but that's if you want to carry a firearm. The thing is that you're hopefully if it's a place where you can carry a firearm, the chances of you needing to carry the firearm diminish.
There are a lot of Christian fascists running the state government in Arizona, which kind of negates a lot of
the ones that ran away from Utah.
Freedom points, yeah. This is really weird in this ordinance local to Las Vegas. It says to appease the resort and gaming industry, which began lobbying late in the process. These campus lounges can't be located within 1,000 feet of a Las Vegas property that offers gaming.
Okay.
They can be or
can't be.
They can't be. Okay.
Cannot be.
That seems like they're 1,000 feet. A lot of places I know in Vegas have gaming, on site, bars and all kinds of places.
Yeah, there's gaming as soon as you get off your airplane.
Right. You get off your airplane.
Right there in the terminal.
Well, it's sad that cities and municipalities do this kind of thing, but they do this kind of thing a lot. I wish that you'd have better freedoms, but in Nevada, you can get in a car and drive from one county to another and go from different, get different forms of freedom in one county than you get in another. And I guess in this case, you have to, wander a little ways to get to the place to buy and consume marijuana. But I still think Nevada is making a good run for freest place in the union.
It sounds like the liquor cartel is kind of running the marijuana regulations in Nevada, including in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
They say local licensing for the lounges will be available only to licensed cannabis retailers located on city property, which is 12 cannabis retailers, plus an additional 10 stores slated to open in Las Vegas by the end of the year.
Yeah, so 22 at that point. 22 for a city the size of Vegas still seems small to me, but there are
a lot more in Phoenix.
Yeah, huh. That's the medical, right? In Phoenix, medical.
Yeah.
So
it's not recreational here yet, but we're working on it.
Wait, so what exactly did they legalize? It wasn't recreational at all, or
in Arizona?
Well, aren't we talking about Nevada?
Nevada's recreational.
Nevada is full recreational legalization with the caveat that you have to buy at the dispensaries from the.
And that's what just
licensed
passed?
Cannabis retailers. No, they're what just passed in Vegas or in Clark County is cannabis lounges are going to be allowed where you can smoke.
Thanks for the update, Footmatic. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
And you can call in and sound just that good, as Footmatic did here, simply by using the Discord lines at discord.freetalklive.com. Or you can call in the old-fashioned way. The number is 855-450-3733. That's 855-450-FREE as in Free Talk Live.
Would you like to hang out with Penn Jillette? He's keynoting Freedom Fest this year. I, for one, am thrilled. Freedom Fest is the largest liberty-oriented gathering in the world. They take a Big Ten approach with libertarians, conservatives, liberals, anarchists, capitalists, and just open-minded people mingling together to hear real debates, share real solutions, and converse freely. This year's theme is the Wild West, a time of liberty and opportunity, or a time of anarchy and violence. Maybe both. Go to freedomfest.com/FTL and get your tickets now. freedomfest.com/FTL. Not convinced yet? Hey, I understand. It's a high-end event. Even with coupon code FTL50. Sure, you're likely to receive investment advice that'll make that sum seem paltry, but I have something special for you. Go to freedomfest.com/FTL and you'll get the 5 best speeches from last year for free. Call it a test drive. Do yourself a favor and go to freedomfest.com/FTL. freedomfest.com/FTL. Use coupon code FTL50 for a discount.
Free Talk Live.
Free Talk Live. Call in, talk about whatever is on your mind. It is Mark with you.
And Chris.
And Chris, let's just jump straight into it. Apparently, you've got some story where Congress might be coming down on cryptocurrencies.
They are going to ban Bitcoin.
Who is this from?
This is a good question. It is from a crazy congressperson.
Okay.
I don't know a whole heck of a lot about the guy, but I know he's crazy.
All right. Well, if he thinks that this is going to be successful, it's a bad idea. At this point, cryptocurrencies are so well established, it's going to be as successful as it was banning marijuana.
Yeah. So
meaning it will drive up the price and probably drive up the ubiquity.
It hasn't affected the price. Actually, the Bitcoins have been going up in price, not down, since this news has been released.
Is performing quite well right now, and in spite of all those things, Bitcoin's at highs that it hasn't been at in many weeks.
Yeah. So the story is from News BTC, and the title is "A Bill to Ban All Crypto. Congressman Calls for the Outlawing of Digital Assets." A congressman with a track record of bashing crypto has come out once again calling for a ban on digital assets. Democrat Brad Sherman supposedly raised the idea earlier today in Congress. So apparently, I don't know, I'm not familiar with this particular Congress critter, but I guess there's other laws that or bills that he's proposed that have been just as bad, and he doesn't seem to understand his concept of Bitcoin is money laundering. And he doesn't or drugs or something, or terrorism or something, I think. And he just doesn't understand at all that that's the US dollar is also used for that.
Right. Right. If you were going to, this is what I always say to anybody who comes out with this old trope. I mean, this is basically what old uninformed people say about Bitcoin now. Is terrorism. They may have heard the term Bitcoin. They've heard it. They don't know anything else but terrorism and drugs.
The crazy thing is that terrorism is the last reason to ban it, because it's actually been found it's easier to get money like physical US dollar bills into terrorist hands, because the places where the terrorists operate don't have internet access. Their infrastructure is terrible. They've, the U.S. is bombing it and so on. So Bitcoins is the last thing that they want.
Right. If we're going to go after the currency of terrorists and drug dealers, then we need to go after the U.S. dollar, because that is the currency of terrorists and drug dealers worldwide.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, don't give them any idea, because there are a lot of countries that, crazy enough, are actually starting to get rid of
cash,
fiat currency.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, like I prefer to use the term cash just to describe it so that people can understand.
Understood.
They're not going to. People aren't ready for this, and
not in the United States.
They'll see a revolt if they attempt to ban cash
today. I think you're right.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily know that's going to continue to be the case.
For me, I like cash because I can quantify what I'm spending much better. I can, account for these things. I can have receipts in my pocket and cash in my pocket, and figure this stuff out more easily. I'm not saying compared to cryptocurrency. I'm just saying compared to using, say, a credit card, and that's what most people are comparing it to.
Yeah, I think I like cryptocurrency for a number of reasons. One, it's nobody else's business what I buy.
Yeah.
But two, not only that, I'm in control of it. If the government decides that they don't like my business, they can't shut my bank account. I mean, they can shut my bank accounts down, but they can't shut my crypto wallet down. And it's just one of these things where at a certain point, the government goes after people who are not necessarily doing anything illegal. They may be involved in legal businesses. Porn stars, for example, who haven't even been in the industry for 20 or 30 years have their bank accounts, their personal bank accounts seized.
Right.
This is all on a whim of whoever's in power,
right,
and putting pressure on the banks, because the banks are so regulated that they fear, if they don't, and they will be punished if they don't cooperate. And that's just the practical reality of it.
Right. I've had dealings with, banks are like refusing to let me open a bank account because they know that I know something about Bitcoin.
Wow. I haven't encountered that yet. And it's interesting because I actually have a bank account that was linked to BitPay for cryptocurrency.
Mm-hmm.
Now I don't even think I've had anything in like 5 years that has actually been converted from Bitcoin to dollars into an account. But for a long time, I was in the early days of cryptocurrency. Yeah, I was definitely having money converted by BitPay. So BitPay is basically a service to accept cryptocurrency, and it will also convert and then wire money to your business bank account, basically.
Right. It's about as reputable of a company as you could find in the Bitcoin sphere.
It's the probably most reputable company, I would even argue. And
I think they allow you to have several cryptocurrencies, including BTC, Bitcoin Cash, and a variety of others.
It's just Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash. It's one of the older cryptocurrency companies, and they just basically provide merchant services. And they have, I think they have a debit card and a few other things, but basically it's not like an exchange. There's been a lot of kind of disreputable exchanges.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, it's certainly a very reputable, entity. They even comply with the laws, and there's certain things that they do that I'm not necessarily a fan of, and I can't even remember what those particular things are, but certainly, the point is that they're not shady in any way.
Right.
So they're kind of even too follow the rules kind of for a lot of us likings.
Before you go on, let's go to Rudy calling in from California. Rudy, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hi guys. Good evening. Happy Friday.
Thank you. What's on your mind, Rudy?
I'm pushing 80, and for 6
really?
years I've been
All
hearing
right.
about cashless society. Yeah, cashless society. I got a question.
Sure.
What do you do with all the poor people? Just kill them?
Yeah, there's a great deal of unbanked in America, and around the world is even more.
Very true.
And most of these unbanked, specifically in this country, are not too well off.
Yeah.
Go on, Rudy.
Oh no, I want to hear you guys. That's why I called in.
Okay,
No.
so. Yeah, it's what I find interesting is that we seem to forget that there are. I'm trying to think exactly what the numbers are, but there is a lot of young people in the United States that do not have a credit card or plastic of any kind.
It's a good choice right about now.
I mean, I'm talking about people under 18. They might make a little bit of money, from a business or, you're working for somebody else or their parents or whatever, but they don't have a bank account. Are we supposed to just not allow them to purchase lunch or whatever if they fly or, there's so many circumstances where they don't have any choice. They just have to, they can't use their services.
I think,
and they haven't had, like we grew up in an economy that was a lot different than after September 11th, right? I mean,
Yeah.
we grew up in a society when there was a time when I could have got 5 jobs in 1 week. I could have got one, didn't like it, quit, got another one. You could have done that a while ago.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, there's this. I can't imagine what it's like to be let's say, 15-year-old in school, and to have 15 years. And I grew up in this economy as it is with these bozo presidents. I mean, this kid, he doesn't have a lot to hope for.
Well, I think it's easier to get a job these days. I don't know about 15 because, well, a 15-year-old, there's so many rules that surround being 15. But at 16,
you think it's easier to get a job?
Right now, unemployment's as low as it's ever been.
I think it's harder to get a job for young people, and I'll tell you why.
I meant the 15. I meant the 15. Like, he knows he's going to be graduate. He's going to be an adult real soon, and he doesn't look good.
Yeah.
Well,
I think it was the generation that's kind of above the 15-year-old that really got saddled with all that debt from college and that kind of thing. You can make good decisions if people are giving you good advice, but if the bad advice that if the advice the adults are giving you saddles you with a bunch of debt, you're basically going to live as a serf for your entire life, and it's sad.
It's true. The kids are definitely getting bad advice from adults, I think, and they have been for a while. No, I mean, I think it's harder to get a job now because kids in a lot of states, they can't get licenses until they're 21 or even older, and then they have to wait a year. Driver's license, and then they have to wait a year before they can drive by themselves. So if you got to, I was not able to hire multiple people in New Jersey as a result of this. Kids who had graduated college and they wouldn't be getting their license for a year.
That's outrageous.
Well, so they couldn't get to work.
I had my license at 16.
Yeah, that's why I really like the Bernie Sanders, who was one of the free college. Because if you think about it,
Rudy, I appreciate it, but I can't hold you over. Thanks for the call.
All right, bye.
855-450-3733. 855-450 free as in freedom. Free Talk Live. Call in, talk about whatever's on your mind. It's Mark with you.
And Chris.
And Chris, we're talking about apparently this congressperson that wants to ban Bitcoin and is making an effort to do so. And we've been chatting about that. I'm going to get back into it, but I just want to give people who do want to use Bitcoin a little advice.
Go for it.
And that advice is to download the Edge Wallet. The Edge Wallet is available for iOS and Android, and with it, you can buy, sell, trade, and securely hold probably all of the cryptocurrencies you have. Now, there certainly are some that it does not hold tokens or coins or whatever, but the vast majority of them that you're going to know about, they probably got it. And one of the things that makes the Edge Wallet so great, and this is important for any wallet you're using, is that it be what they call non-custodial, meaning that they don't hold your money. You do. The Edge Wallet, with the Edge Wallet, you control your money. They don't. You can give them the ability to retrieve your password if you want that. But that's not mandatory. Your username and password is the way you control your account, as opposed to having, say, this 12 or 24-word mnemonic you've got to memorize to get your stuff back, or have written someplace and maybe it gets burned up at a fire or something. Just username and password. So they make that relatively easy. It's a veteran team. They've been building since 2014, and they've been working hard to secure your freedom. Go check them out, edge.app. I use it, love it. I think it's the best wallet I've used, edge.app. So there you go. Go on, Chris.
I look for colleagues to join with me in introducing a bill to outlaw cryptocurrency purchases by Americans.
I hope this guy gets voted out the next go-around.
Yeah.
He's dangerous. A Democrat from where?
I don't know.
Oh, God.
So that we
His name is Sherman?
Yeah, Sherman. So that we nip this in the bud. In part because an awful lot of international power comes from the fact that dollar is the standard unit of international finance and transaction.
Right, that international power that has to do with dealing weapons and drugs, which is the thing you say you want to stop dealing. I don't even understand this guy.
It is the announced purpose of the supporters of cryptocurrency to take that power away from us, to put us in a position where the most significant sanctions we have on Iran, for example, would become irrelevant. They're already irrelevant. Whether it is
sanctions on Iran don't affect the Iranian government.
Right.
Sanctions on North Vietnam or North Korea don't affect the North Korean government.
I want to point out that North Korea last year stole billions of dollars from banks around the world using the U.S.'s own banking system.
How'd they do that?
Basically, they hacked into banks around the world, and then they used the U.S. wire transfer system that the U.S. controls. And because they were able to wire the funds to somewhere in China during a certain time period in which the U.S. government doesn't operate, during there was a holiday period, and so if they timed it right, it basically they were not able to catch it.
I see.
So their controls basically didn't work.
So an old, decades-old faulty system was hacked by North Korean hackers.
Billions of dollars.
Yeah, and billions of dollars were lost. This couldn't have happened with cryptocurrency, but by God, we've got to outlaw this new technology in currency.
Yeah, basically, far more cryptocurrency was stolen. I'm sorry, far more U.S. currency was stolen by North Korea than cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
Whether it is to disempower our foreign policy, our tax collection enforcement, or our traditional law enforcement, the purposes of cryptocurrency, the advantages it has over sovereign currency, is solely to aid the disempowerment of the United States and the rule of law. Well, here's something that you're failing to realize. You have no control over it. Whether it's legal or not,
right,
we are going to use it, okay? We already use the U.S. dollar. Okay, you don't have total control over every economic decision that's made because we already have the U.S. dollar. But we're going to ensure that you don't have control over our bank accounts for long distance purchases, something that currently, or was the case that you did.
You being the U.S. government.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that this is that they just don't understand that they think lawmakers believe that their lawmaking power is sovereign and that somehow it makes a difference. And it will make a difference. Things will change if somehow BTC was outlawed or something. But I just, this guy just really doesn't know what he's playing with. When cannabis was outlawed, it didn't stop people from smoking marijuana. When you create harsher penalties, that didn't stop them either. And now it's legal recreationally in a good portion of the United States. It's just so pointless. How many people's lives were ruined over these dumb laws by these stupid politicians that didn't even know what they're doing?
It's funny. Cryptocurrencies aren't even being used by the drug dealers basically to launder money. They're actually using the U.S. banking system to do so. In Mexico, they basically as an example, they basically took over a bank down there and used the bank to do the wire transfers just like any other business would.
Mm-hmm.
Because guess what? Individuals are corruptible, and it's easier to do that than it is to try and transfer billions of dollars into cryptocurrencies and then maybe back again. So why do that? It's not the best means of basically transporting money over the border.
Right.
It's not.
Cryptocurrency is a huge leap forward in the technology of remittances.
It empowers small players. It's not necessarily a tool for
it is bad
the
for
big
banks.
drug cartels.
It is bad for banks, and
Absolutely
it is consequently bad for the Federal Reserve, which is basically the United States government. It is bad for them because what it does is it empowers individuals over groups of rich people. The reason that Bitcoin was created was because of the economic downturn that occurred in 2006 through 2008. Because of the corrupted, frankly, evil banking organizations. All you have to do is watch The Big Short and realize these people have no business in the creation and the transference of money. They shouldn't be involved. Cryptocurrencies give power to the individual and allow them to be in control of their lives and their money.
On Monday, Nobel Prize-winning economist Joseph Stiglitz proposed we shut down the cryptocurrencies. Unlike Sherman, however, Stiglitz attacked crypto for its apparent anonymity Wallace praising the idea of centrally managed electronic currency to curb money laundering. He doesn't seem to understand at all that you're going to, people, if you outlaw cryptocurrency, because the U.S. government doesn't have any actual control over cryptocurrency, the people who they've banned from using it are still going to use it, at least the people who want to avoid the law. So it doesn't really solve any problems. It's still going to be used because the reality is the government doesn't have any control over it. Period. End of story.
Yeah, it's trying to put back get back together the broken bottle. It's just not going to happen.
Genie in the bottle, and they're not going to be successful because they can't.
855-450-3733. 855-450-FREE, as in Free Talk Live.
If you want to move to the free state and you're looking for some real estate, well, I know a guy who's really great. It's the Realtor Mark Warden.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Warden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in liberty and property. Mark Warden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
Free Talk Live. Come on and call in. The number, 855-450-3733. That's 855-450-FREE. On Free Talk Live, it's Mark with you.
And Chris.
And I've got a story here that kind of stunned me. I couldn't even believe this headline, but it appears to be true. ABCnews.com. District of Columbia, D.C. area radio station told to register as Russian agent. The owner of a Washington, D.C. area radio station that broadcasts Sputnik International 24/7, which sounds Russian. Sputnik, I think, is the name of like their that satellite, or like some kind of part of their space program, like the spacecraft, has been ordered to register his Florida-based broadcasting company as a Russian federal agent. WTOP. This is they report. This is one of the biggest radio stations in the country, all news. Judge Robin Rosenberg ruled Tuesday that RM Broadcasting must register with the U.S. government. RM and a Russian government-owned news agency agreed in 2017 that the station would broadcast the agency's communications continuously without edit until 2021. Federal agents told RM, that's the company, in 2018 that the station was acting as a publicity agent for the Russian agency. It said RM would need to register as a foreign principal under the Foreign Agents Registration Act of 1938. There sounds like a law that needs a little updating. Originally adopted to fight Nazi propaganda. RM asked the court to rule on the matter, arguing that it only buys and resells airtime. So I would never have expected this, that somehow, what they call license management agreements, LMAs, these are done all the time in radio. And if somebody wanted to pay money to come on and use your license, as long as they don't say cuss words or a variety of things that they can't do from the standpoint of the FCC, which I'm sure the Russian Sputnik agency or whatever wasn't doing, that no big deal. Now, there's a television network in the United States called RT, which used to be known as Russia Today. And there's some relatively big names in U.S. broadcasting that are associated with RT. And somehow that doesn't seem to be an issue. I don't know any. I bet you RT isn't on broadcast television. Because, well, you don't need to be anymore. Cable, if you're on cable, you're doing fine.
And the internet.
And internet, you're doing fine.
Yeah.
You know, you need your promotions to get seen on the internet. There's probably video streaming platforms out there that are dying for a little promotion. By the way, I'd like to tell you about DLive. You go to dlive.freetalklive.com, and you can see Free Talk Live being streamed right now, and most nights of the year. You know, there are times when we're traveling or whatever that you're not going to see anything in the studio, but most nights, dlive.freetalklive.com. But I've never heard of a radio station owned by somebody in the United States with an LMA by any organization, the license management agreement, that has to register as a Russian agent. And what does this mean once you have to register as a Russian agent? I don't even know.
I'm curious. Does this apply to like an internet streaming station? And does it matter whether or not they're operating from inside the United States as opposed to, I don't know, say Russia?
Well, it's the whatever law of 1938. Doesn't sound like it applies to an internet streaming station. Probably just applies to broadcast, would be my guess, which, of course, is, at this point, relatively old technology. I mean,
sometimes these laws are pretty broad, though. I could imagine that it could apply or be interpreted to apply to an internet streaming station. But it then begs the question of, if it's operating from the United States, you would think it wouldn't have to register.
In this case, so what happened was there's a guy who owns a radio station, I guess, in the D.C. area.
Yeah.
And this Russian Sputnik news agency or whatever they are comes to him and says, "Hey, we'd give you lots of money to let us use your broadcast signal." He said, "No problem, right?" And he's like, "Sure, I'll take that money." It's tough to make money in radio right now. You've got to spend a lot of money to get your apparatus up and rolling. In many cases, you have to upgrade and do all kinds of things, and somebody just comes in and they want to do all the work and pay you money. All right. I'll sign that license management agreement. A license management agreement, in many cases, they can differ, but in many cases it means they run the whole station. They're responsible for maintenance. They're responsible for paying the power bill. You know, they can be, just responsible for all kinds of things. In other cases, they're just getting their stuff broadcast, and you're responsible. Then the owner's responsible for that. It just depends on how the LMA is set up. But many organizations will LMA before they buy. A Russian news agency would not be able to buy a radio station in the United States. You have to be a U.S. citizen. I don't believe you can be a felon either and own. So there's rules. Yep.
Wow.
Yeah. But so for instance, I'm as good as being Russian when it comes to buying a radio station in the U.S.
I mean, that sounds like it violates your free speech rights. Is there something in the Constitution that I'm missing that says felons, do not have free speech rights once they've served their time and been released?
There kind of is. So the 13th Amendment, which was the one that was basically to free the slaves, says something to the effect of, a person can't be, made to work or incarcerated or whatever without being first convicted of a crime. And thus, that means that if convicted of a crime, basically any form of slavery or punishment is acceptable by that standard. Now, there's a cruel and unusual standard, but there's nothing that says anything. There's nothing that says sort of a very American statement, which is once you've done your time, then you are, forgiven and you're able to start over and make a new life. They don't say that in the Constitution, which is, I think, in many ways what this country was founded on. I mean, consider Georgia was a penal colony. So and there's plenty of other places. Australia comes to mind, and other places where, these things were established as penal colonies. The idea of having laws that that say that somebody can never reattain a status of sort of full citizenship in this country, they're really abhorrent to the American ideals. But it's not in the Constitution.
My understanding is you're not really surrendering your rights just because you are convicted either. Does it say that you surrendered your rights after you've been convicted? I mean, it doesn't really say that, does it?
Well, So from a practical standpoint, if you look at the right to keep and bear arms, they really can't give you that in prison.
Right, but that's while you're being enslaved, so to speak.
Sure,
which is explicitly in the Constitution, as opposed to.
But once you are enslaved,
right?
In that
but
sense,
you're no longer enslaved, theoretically.
Well, yeah, but who says that? I mean, that's you've
been released.
You just enter a different form of enslavement after that. Is all they say.
I don't think that there's anything to suggest in my mind, based off of what's in the Constitution, that I understand. That's the case. I mean, slavery, I think, in the minds of the writers, is explicitly, ankle and chain, you're locked in a cage of some kind. Not there. I mean, some other form of slavery is something that's been created by some sort of modern.
Federal judges
idea.
Have ruled that people who are convicted of felonies, who had their rights to keep and bear arms taken away, that was acceptable, even though that law passed after they had been convicted of a felony.
Do you still retain your free speech rights?
Well, as much as anyone, supposedly. Sure.
Why that right and not the other one?
It's interesting. The number, 855-450-3733. 855-450, free as in freedom. If you got
hypocrisy in America.
Any opinions on this radio station or inmates and rights, you're welcome to call in with it. Free Talk Live, 855-450-FREE. Free Talk Live, final segment. There's probably room for you if you were to call in. I haven't had a lot of calls tonight. I haven't done a Friday night show in a long time, Chris.
There's not usually a whole lot of calls on Friday nights.
I guess people are out partying. They just want the show delivered to them as opposed to, participating as much on a Friday night. That's fine.
Yeah.
That's what we do here on Free Talk Live. We've always got things to talk about. And I want to thank all the amplifiers, specifically Arno Statchler, who is a gold amplifier. I know Arnold. Arno, I met him at a Pork Fest many, many years ago, and I'm so delighted to see that he's still an amplifier. I don't see the amplifier program much. I don't know that much about it. Ian is the one who administrates it. But if you want to support Free Talk Live and what we do, which is to allow people to speak freely on the airwaves and to bring the message of liberty to almost 200 radio stations, I think we'll be saying 200 radio stations very, very, very soon here, ladies and gentlemen.
Crossing my fingers.
Yeah, I have a little insider information, and I think it's going to be very, very soon. So thank you, Arno, and thank you, amplifiers. Go to amp.freetalklive.com. If you want me to thank you, I'd love to thank you. We do. We thank the amplifiers here. amp.freetalklive.com. So in the last segment, we were talking about this D.C. area radio station that was forced to register as a Russian agent by a federal judge. And I mentioned that I'm pretty sure, really confident, that an ex-convict can't hold a radio station license either. And Chris, you kind of were surprised, and you just began to talk about how you feel that rights relate to citizenship and that sort of thing.
Yeah. I mean, it basically angers me, the idea that they can take away select individuals' rights, and it fundamentally, I think, it undermines the legitimacy of a democracy, because ultimately, a democracy, if you can basically outlaw a particular task of your political enemy, you can use that to disenfranchise. And I think they do this already. I think there's a lot of different minority groups out there that they've utilized this tactic to explicitly disenfranchise them. Certainly, I think one of the clearest ones is people of color, black people. They've used it against them, and it's most obvious with that. But it's certainly not exclusive to people of color.
Well, I don't know which states at this point disallow people to vote besides Florida. I know Virginia used to, but that's been changed. And I would venture to say that you're basically talking about disallowing people to vote because of their color in that circumstance. Although there are certainly white people who can't vote in Florida because they're ex-convicts. Right. When I was in prison in Florida, the numbers would be as high as 12-1 The one being white and the 12 being, basically non-whites.
Right, and it's they use the tactics that they use, because they can't just come out and ban black people, because that's not socially acceptable today. But what they can do, and they continue to do, is they look at statistics of, okay, well, what do black people like to do, and then they go and they outlaw those specific things. So this is one of the ways, one of the intentions, I think, of some of the pot laws, for example, when they did that, and they explicitly were racist about them.
So I would say that if you're going to tax somebody, they should be able to vote. Taxation without representation was the reason that the Revolutionary War was fought. Now, I can see some kind of cooling off period or whatever, if that's what people want. Like, for instance, if it comes to gun ownership, it's a real problem to say that somebody's got to go live in a crappy neighborhood and can't own a weapon. But that's what we do to convicts all the time,
right?
Ex-convicts all the time. But I think that somebody should be able to, if you've been off probation, out of prison and off probation for 5 years, I think you should summarily have your right to keep and bear arms returned to you. Because at that point, you've shown that you're trying to do what it takes to not get arrested. And now, I'm not saying that you should be able to commit whatever crime you want with a weapon at that point.
Of course not.
I'm just saying that the unlikely event that a police officer catches somebody who is an ex-convict who isn't committing a crime besides possessing a weapon, in the unlikely event that they catch them doing that, the fact that they've been out for 5 years ought to mitigate that, ought to eclipse that.
Yeah, and it's not like the law banning convicts from or ex-convicts from owning weapons actually stops ex-convicts who have an interest in breaking the law from owning guns.
Right. I'm an ex-convict, and I could get a gun probably tonight if I needed to.
I'm sure you could.
And so they're not stopping me from getting a weapon.
No,
they're not stopping somebody who's leaving prison from getting a weapon. These laws are only keeping people who don't want to go back to prison from owning weapons. And those are the people that you shouldn't be caring about.
It actually creates a situation where people are more likely to go back to prison because they can't do the fundamental things that they need to do. And I'm not talking specifically about the guns. I'm just talking about in general these types of laws that disenfranchise ex-convicts.
It makes it more and more difficult to be a free person. I mean, ladies and gentlemen out there, you're free people. Is it easy? Is it easy? Okay. What if we decided to make it harder? Do you want to put people who are already shown that they're not that great at being a free person and make it harder for them to be a free person and then just laugh when they get thrown in jail? I mean, is that the kind of society we want to run? Because that's what's happening.
I think the best way to do elections is to allow anybody who is physically here and able to go up to a ballot basically and sign their name should basically be allowed to vote. That's kind of my view on things. And
my son can sign his name. He's 11.
Yeah, and I think he should. If he has the initiative to go to a voting
parents
station,
will just be taking their kids to vote.
Yeah, but everybody else's parents will also take their kids to vote. I think it's fundamentally
the people who have more kids will be the ones who get people elected.
Yeah, I mean, there's some downsides to letting everybody vote. But there's also downsides to not letting everybody vote. I think ultimately that's the best and the fairest way to do it. And I think
if you're a net taxpayer,
I think you should.
You can vote.
Yeah, I understand where you're going with that. I think that people in prison should be able to vote as well.
They can in Vermont.
Yes, this is true. Some states they can, but some states they can't.
Vote at their. Some states they vote at the place where they're incarcerated, which seems bizarre to me. Other places they just vote where they came from and as like an absentee ballot, like if they're in the military or something like that. Let's go to Dave and call him from New Mexico. Dave, you're on Free Talk Live. What's on your mind? What is that?
Maple syrup.
Oh, he's speaking.
Maple syrup.
Maple syrup. Yes. The Japanese immigration officials or airport officials took my maple syrup. I hope they used it. I would hate to think they destroyed it.
Do you speak Japanese? Do you know what he's saying?
Apparently he does. I have no idea. I don't speak any Japanese. Domo arigato, Mr. Roboto.
Arigato. No hanga ga wakimasen.
Right.
I go hanemasu ka.
Dave, I'm going to have to let you go if you don't speak English.
I can speak English.
Okay.
Wait a minute. I think that's it. Wait a minute. Wakarimasen. I don't understand.
What do you think they did with my maple syrup? As a New Hampshire, as a Granite Stater, I tend to tote this stuff around when I go places to spread the wealth.
I'm surprised they let you get on a plane with it, to be honest.
No, it was checked in my baggage.
Oh, okay. Oh, right. I forgot about that.
We eat the maple syrup. It was tasty.
Good.
As you say in America.
I hope so.
Tasty.
I hope so.
Yeah, it was very good.
Hate to think it was wasted. That's Ian's posting tweets. If you guys go look for him on Twitter, you can see all the things that he's doing over there. I've been following him relatively closely here, just keeping an eye on whatever he tweets. He's amazed at the toilets that you don't sit on, you just sort of squat over.
Yeah.
And all kinds of interesting things. I did use the bathroom, and for the brief time that I was in Japan, but it was a stand-up urinal. Not terribly different from those in the United States.
You didn't hold it for the 35 minutes?
Well, I just got off the plane. I'm like, oh, well, here's an opportunity. And, of course, I had to wait outside the restroom for Ian because he takes longer to do everything in life.
That's interesting that you were allowed to go to the bathroom before and not, before customs.
Yeah, I don't think that was an issue, but I can see what the problem with having a bathroom right there before customs might be. Somebody might wish to, what we called in prison, suitcase something.
I don't think I was able to when I got off the plane in the UK. Able to go to the bathroom before I hit customs, but
I think that could be a real problem.
Or maybe it was Denver, Amsterdam.
Was the return airfare included in your round trip ticket?
Yeah, Delta took real good care of me on that. Since I had a return trip, basically the Japanese officials more or less just made it happen, and he asked for a piece of paper, proof that I had a return thing, and they do that before they tell you you're not coming back, so that you are happy to show them paperwork. And they had a whole order of operations on this. He's kicked more than one person out of the country, so he knows how to go about doing it. But yeah, that's what happened.
And then you're out your airfare. You don't get any sort of refund from the airline at all, right?
Of course not.
The airline did what they were supposed to do. They flew me there. They flew me back. They just did it sooner than the flight. They flew me back sooner than I wanted to be.
Yeah, right. I think I'm turning Japanese. I think they're turning
Thanks
Japanese.
for the call, Dave. I really think so. Free Talk Live.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. You can help by joining the AMP program for just $5 a month at amp.freetalklive.com and getting perks. That's amp.freetalklive.com.